So for the purpose of this activity on this project, I'm going to go ahead and just start with activity 1 from our book in chapter 12, because the names all like coordinate and we didn't use the same names when we worked on it in class. I also want to just go over some of these other activities. Actually, I'm not starting on activity 1 because activity 1 is installing Hyper-V. And so activity 2 was creating a virtual machine. That's going to be what I am doing right now. I'm not actually going to make a new one because I don't have the server disk. I'm just going to go ahead and use the import to import the export that I had already made previously. So yeah, so we're going to go ahead and copy the virtual machine because we want to create a new unique ID. And as we discussed in the book, these options are for like backing up and replacing one that has been corrupted, or even putting it on a different machine but keeping it as the same virtual machine. I am going to leave it in the default location, and I am going to VM test 1. And there we go. Go ahead and finish. Wait for that to work. Now that it's finished, I'm going to go ahead and rename it. And I am going to rename it VM test 1. And since in activity 12.5 you were supposed to make a second one with the exact same method that I'm using, that's called VM test 2, I'm going to go ahead and do that again. I actually wanted to point out that when you're doing this, it does tell you in there to remember where you put your virtual hard disk. That's important for later because you're going to have to go and find it, and it's pretty obvious it saved it in a very similar place. I'm just going to name this one VM test 2. Alright, so I have my VM test 1 and my VM test 2 servers. They are both have the same OS on them. You can go into the physical part of the computer and actually copy the virtual hard disk into a different folder, rename it, open a VM, and attach it to that VM. And it would still have the same OS and everything because the OS is on the hard drive, or the virtual hard disk. But I can see how, more options are better. So we're talking about virtual hard disks. And first off, there are 3 kinds. There are the fixed-sized, dynamically expanding, and then there's the differencing disk. First off, the reason you use a virtual hard disk is, first off, you're using a virtual machine, so you actually have to have a hard disk or hard drive, quote unquote, to have your OS on, because your actual host computer has its own OS. So you need somewhere to put the guest OS. Every VM has to have its own virtual hard drive. That way you don't have to repartition your actual hard drive over and over again. Virtual hard drives are much more flexible. They're not a physical thing. Reallocate and change stuff on them all the time with a lot less problems than you would if you had to go repartition your actual physical hard drive. So you can have the fixed size, which is actually a set amount of size given to the drive, and it is the best for if you're using a lot input-output operations and you have really good disk performance. Dynamically expanding ones that actually are allowed to grow up to a certain amount that you can set, but they are not as high performing, they're slower, and you can have issues with fragmentation. And then the differencing disk, which is the parent-child one. This one allows you to make a parent disk, which will never change. It is original, and it has the guest OS on it. But what that allows you to do is that you attach the child drives to the parent. They all share the same OS, but any changes made to the individual VMs here will only be on the child, so that if you need to make a new VM and you don't want all of these settings that are already on these, you don't have to, because you can just attach it to the parent, you have the proper OS on it, and then you just go from there. So now we're going to do the activity 8, which was creating a dynamically expanding virtual disk. Alright, so you go to your action panes over here, go to new, hard disk. Next. Alright, you're going to pick which one you want to use. We are going to use VHDX. Okay. We are going to have a dynamically expanding disk. We are going to name it VM Test 1, 2. Okay, VM Test 1, 2, okay. But we only want 2 gigabytes in this one. Next. Alright. Okay, VM1 has to be powered off. You're going to go into settings. You're going to go into your SCSI controller. You see where it shows this? You're going to go ahead and click add. Go into browse. You're going to go into your folder. And okay. Now, click start. Alrighty. You're going to go ahead and go to start. Disk management. That's what we're doing. Okay, so we got disk management open. Next to disk 1, it is this one. Okay. We are going to click on this right here. And we are going to click online. We are going to then initialize. Okay. Alright, and then this unallocated box here, we're going to go ahead and do new simple volume. I'm just going to use the default. And then you should be able to open File Explorer. Alright, File Explorer. Alright. And there it is. New volume E. It's right there. Okay. Then you want to do, go here. You want to make a new folder. Folder. Okay. And then new folder. And let's go text document. Oh, they can use the things. Hello. Okay. Right. And there you go. You're now going to shut down this VM. Now onto activity 12.9, we're doing, go to VM test 1, go to settings, go to the hard drive right under here, well, right there. So you're going to go, actually, when you go in here, you're then going to go to edit, right there. You know, there's like nothing on it though. So what we're doing here is we're actually converting it. Okay? And we're going to leave it as a VHDX. But instead of being dynamic, we're actually going to convert it to a fixed size disk. And then you're actually going to go location, again like before. You're going to put it in VM test 1, 2 fixed. Like that. And then click next, click finish. So once it finishes, you're going to go ahead and go here. You're going to go to browse. You're going to, oop, I'll just put it right there. Okay. So it's going to be right there. You're going to go ahead and click open. And then and click OK. And there you go. You've already done it. You're then going to double click VM test 1. You're going to start it. Now we're going to go ahead, let's see, open File Explorer, open new volume E, new folder, it's still there. Okay, it all stayed the same, as you can see. You can go ahead and go here to the File Explorer on your own computer. Now we're going to go ahead and do the chapter 12 number 10, creating a VM and attaching a differencing disk. So what we're going to do is you're actually going to go into VM test 2 now. You're going to go into settings. you're going to go ahead and look at where you're going to go ahead and look at. So it should be ADS1 just because I copied ADS1 initially to make it. You go ahead and you see it's right here. You're going to go ahead and remove it. Okay, you're going to go ahead and open File Explorer to go to wherever it is that that disk was. Store, it was VMTest 2, there it is. So this one, it is going to be renamed. So now that you found it, you have to actually rename it. And you're going to go ahead and rename it VM Parent Success. Alright, and then you're going to go back to your Hyper-V. Going to go to New. You're going to go to Hard Disk. Accept your VHD. This time, what you're going to do is that you're going to choose Differencing Disk. And then you are going to go ahead and go next. You're going to specify the name. And the name for this one is, okay, the name for this one is VM Test 2 Diff. Okay. And you're going to want to go ahead and put that for the location too. And specify the virtual hard disk you want to use as the parent. So here you're going to go ahead and click Browse. You're going to click on your VM parent properly. Okay. So there you go. You got your parent. And you go to Next. And then you're going to go ahead and Finish. Then you're going to go ahead and do that again. Yes, that's right. You do it a second time. The only difference is like the name. Instead of, you're going to do Test 3 Diff instead of Test 2. Alright, once you've done all that, you go to VM Test 2. You go into your settings. You go into your iController 0. Right here. You're going to go ahead and click Add. You're going to find your VM Test 2. You're going to open it. Okay. So that's what you did. Now, you're going to go ahead and create another virtual machine. Alright, so you make a virtual machine. You go to here and you're like, okay, you're going to name this one VM Test 3. Really, really creative with our naming, guys. Don't worry about it. And then you're going to go ahead and keep on with your defaults. So you want your memory. Now this window, it starts to change. You do not accept your defaults here. You actually go to attach, use a existing virtual hard disk to your browse. You're going to go ahead and get your VM Test 3 right here. And that's the one you're going to attach. Okay? And you go to Next. You're going to go ahead and finish. And let it do its thing. Alright, VM Test 3. Now that did not take as long, mainly because the hard drive already existed, so it didn't have to do all the other steps. So it could just attach this hard drive. I want to make sure that these work. So you want to go ahead and connect, obviously, sorry. Start it. You're going to start with 2. Make sure it works. No, it failed. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go into here, into our parent. I'm going to look at properties. Alright, so you're going to go ahead and do this edit. We're going to give modify, apply, okay. Now we have modify. Let's see if that works. Yada yada. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and shut this one down. Okay. We turned off that one. Go ahead and try and start this one again. Ah! Okay. So, it wouldn't run if test 1 was on. It wouldn't run if test 1 was on, and now it seems to be alright. Alright. Let's check it out. Alright, so first thing you had to do, because there was actually 2 errors that were happening there. One, we were not allowed to modify that original disk, which means we weren't allowed to access it. So you had to go and change your permissions and give your VMs permission to modify it. That is actually something that was mentioned in the book on 559. They talked about it. If you get an error, check the permissions for your files. And then the other thing was that it would not run while test 1 was on. Okay, that one works. Let me see if this one will work. Oh, there we go. Okay, so they both work. Everything works. It all works. That's excellent. The only thing we didn't talk about, other than that, is the pass-through disk, which is not a virtual disk. A pass-through disk is actually a physical disk, so it's actually on the physical computer, set to offline. And what that does is it allows it to use that disk. If the disk already has data on it, the data is kept. You can access it from the VM. You can't use the disk editing options on it. You can't take checkpoints, and you can't use a differencing disk with it. A pass-through disk has a little bit of a performance advantage, but it doesn't have the flexibility that comes with a virtual disk. Often used for SQL servers and high-performance cluster servers. That's all.